Okay, so I want you to imagine this scene for me. You're sitting across the table from one of your best friends, and to the left of him is this guy who you don't really know that well. He's one of your friend's friends, and you're all getting drinks together, and it hasn't really been a problem so far. I mean, he seems like a nice enough guy, and your friend has been doing most of the heavy lifting when it comes to this conversation. But all that changes when he gets up to go to the bathroom and leaves the two of you together on your own, and you just feel the energy shift. You just feel this pressure start to kick in, and you're instinctively thinking, don't let this get awkward. I need to say something to this guy. So you kind of just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. How do you know this guy, our mutual friend? And sure, it's a basic question, but at least it might fill the silence long enough for your friend to come back. But this guy decides to give you the short answer. He turns the focus back on you, and now you're thinking, what the hell do I say now? So you're both stuck in no man's land. Neither of you can think of what to say to each other. So you do what any person would in that situation. You pull out your phone, you pretend to look distracted, you think you're pretending that you're texting, you're probably just on the settings. You're taking extra long sips of your drink. You're both trying to look distracted, to look preoccupied, but really you're painfully aware of each other's presence. And as this silence gets even more unbearable, you're literally counting down the seconds until your friend comes back to save you, and you're thinking, how did I end up in this situation? What could I have done better? So today I'm going to give you my 5-step process. I'm going to make it extremely easy for you to never run out of things to say in conversation, to avoid those painfully awkward silences, and just be a great conversationalist. But for this to work for you, you first have to understand this basic idea, and that's that there is no one-size-fits-all solution or script that works every time in a conversation. So listen, humans are unpredictable. They are unique in many ways. So what will work on one person, you can't just expect to work on everyone. Conversation is inherently dynamic. Like, think about it. What you would say to a complete stranger isn't going to be the same as what you would say to your best friend. Like, context is important, as is your personality types, the environment that you find yourself in, maybe the emotions that you're currently experiencing. All of these factors can influence conversation, so there's no way of pre-rehearsing it without it feeling a little bit forced or unnatural. But lucky for you, if such a thing were to exist, I'm going to give you the closest thing to a one-size-fits-all solution, probably the most natural and effective way to keep a conversation going and not have it feel forced. And I do truly believe, like, I'm not just saying it, this is some of the most practical advice you'll ever hear on YouTube. So if it does help you in any way, I would appreciate you liking the video just so we can get the message out to more people. So this is an idea I first heard whilst reading the book Models by Mark Manson. So this concept is called following the breadcrumbs, and that involves picking up on small cues or little details that you can use to drive the conversation forward. It's like following a trail of information or breadcrumbs that the other person is leaving for you that you could use to potentially explore new topics. So rather than running out of things to say and being forced to change the topic quite abruptly, like it can kind of feel a little bit random, this is just exploring what they've already shared. It's like letting the conversation evolve naturally. So like I said, this is extremely practical. I'm literally going to hold your hand step by step. So step 1, instead of just being stuck in your own head throughout this conversation, like mentally rehearsing what you're going to say before they've even finished talking, let them talk and just listen closely. Pay attention to the words that they're saying, their tone of voice. Specifically pay attention to those small details that they bring up. Like, it could be places, it could be activities or different emotions, just these little things that you could explore further if you wanted to. So step 2 is, ideally throughout this entire process, from the moment you meet them to the moment you let them go, you want to be asking them open-ended questions. So not things that could be answered with like a simple yes or no, things that invite them to open up and share more about themselves. For instance, how has your week been? They could say, it was an absolutely crazy week. On Friday night, I went to this rave, and then Saturday, I spent the entire day in bed recovering. Now I've got this assignment due that I have to get completed by like this time, and I'm really stressed out. So that right there is 4 breadcrumbs, 4 potential topics we could explore further. So you've got the rave on the Friday night, you've got the experiences on the Saturday of like recovering from that rave, the university assignment and just studies in general, and then the 4th one was them feeling stressed out. So you could ask about school-life balance. So step 3, now you have identified those breadcrumbs. Pick one to explore further and then ask an open-ended question about that topic, something that you are genuinely curious to know more about. And the reason that's so important is because true curiosity cannot be faked. Like, if you were just entertaining them, like you didn't really care about this topic, you're kind of just trying to be nice, they're going to be able to sense that. It's just going to come through in your body language and your lack of enthusiasm. They'll be able to tell that you're kind of bored, and no one likes to feel like they're boring someone. So it'll be more fun for you and for them if you just pick a breadcrumb that you're actually interested in, something that you really do want to know about. So let's say you pursue the breadcrumb about the rave. You could ask, oh man, what kind of rave was it? What kind of music did you listen to? And he says, oh, it was an abandoned warehouse. There were 4 different DJs and we stayed up until 5 a.m. at night. That right there is like 3 more breadcrumbs for you to explore. Like all these potential conversations you could be having. Like once you start looking for these little opportunities, it's not actually that hard to keep a conversation going. So step 4, eventually you will reach a point of this conversation where it feels like things are losing a little bit of steam. Maybe it's getting a little bit repetitive. And this is where you can use another technique known as a jump off point. So this is a way of transitioning smoothly and naturally into another topic of conversation without it feeling forced or you reaching an awkward silence. So again, you want to be listening closely, trying to find aspects of this conversation that can potentially lead to a related topic. So obviously with raves, the overall topic is music. So you could easily change the conversation to different artists or genres of music, maybe some concerts you've been to. And once you've decided what you want to talk about, that's when you bridge into the new conversation using a transition statement where you connect the old topic to this new topic. So just speaking of raves, have you ever been to Portugal? I've heard they've got this crazy techno music scene over there, all these cool artists and festivals. Have you ever been? So with that, I've successfully jumped off from talking about music to travel. Like I've opened up this whole new door in terms of what we could speak about. Like, you see what I mean? And you can essentially just rinse and repeat this whole process of listening for the breadcrumbs, asking genuine open-ended questions and jump off points to keep a conversation going forever. But step 5, is that what we really want? So I'll share something I've learned over the years. You could be having the most enthralling, entertaining conversation, like literally the best conversation you could have. But if you let that drag on for too long, that can really sour the other person's experience. Like that can make them not want to spend any more time with you. So it's important to recognize when to end a conversation gracefully, to have them looking forward to seeing you again, like leaving it on a high note. So you should be looking out for verbal and non-verbal cues that this conversation is winding down. Maybe their responses are getting shorter, maybe they're making a little bit less eye contact with you, or their body language is kind of getting a little bit shifty. Maybe you could have jumped off a few times already and you fully explored a topic. So what I would do to end that conversation gracefully is to allow you to that moment's silence right after you've finished talking. Literally just a brief pause for a moment to signal the end of that discussion. And then I'd thank them for the conversation. So depending on the context, I might tell them that I've got to run or I've got to go and meet a friend after this, but I'd always suggest that we catch up again soon. I think that's how you leave it on a high note. So that is my 5-step process out the way. I hope you enjoyed, but I've got to tell you something. There is a big problem that I haven't spoken about yet, that if you don't address, it doesn't matter if you follow all the advice in this video down to a T, you'll still experience constant awkward silences. You don't want that to happen, but this is literally the truth. And that problem is social anxiety. That is the root cause of all awkwardness, of all these symptoms like bad body language, running out of things to say, and you won't be able to get the most out of this video without amending that first. So I'll let you know, a couple of weeks ago I made an amazing video on understanding why you experience this anxiety and how to fix your awkwardness. So I'd highly recommend that you go and watch that now. And if you specifically want one-to-one help with that, of how to fix your social awkwardness, your anxiety, anything that you saw in this video, I'd highly recommend that you join my free Discord community. It's a community of extremely friendly and supportive guys who actually want to help you solve your problems. I'm extremely active there. You'll have direct access to me. It's just a great place to come and feel inspired, make some new friends, and just learn something new every day. But that is all from me today, bro. I will see you in the next one.